Good evening, and welcome to the 7th induction ceremony for the University of Pikeville Distinguished Educators Hall of Fame. This evening, we honor 10 new members to the Hall of Fame who have made significant contributions to the field of education. We recognize outstanding individuals who have excelled in education and have encouraged others to contribute to the economic development and the quality of life in Central Appalachia. It is imperative that we acknowledge the contributions and the gifts of these inductees for many reasons. The freedom to learn lies at the heart of all great civilizations. It is a prerequisite to our other freedoms of speech, assembly, and worship. The UPike Distinguished Educators Hall of Fame has been created not only to honor leaders in the field of education, but to serve as a record and an inspiration to future teachers and leaders. Induction into the Hall of Fame acknowledges that these individuals have made distinguished contributions to the field of education. These innovative leaders have believed passionately in the evolutionary power of education. All have provided exemplary service and left lasting impressions on the students, institutions, and organizations they have served. Allow me to introduce others on the platform this evening. On my left, far left, is Terry Dotson, Chairman of the University of Pikeville Board of Trustees. And on my immediate left is Dr. Burton Webb, President of the University of Pikeville. We'd like to recognize trustees in the audience. If you are a trustee at the University of Pikeville, would you please stand? Thank you. We would also like to recognize those in the audience who are members of the Distinguished Educators Hall of Fame. So if you've been inducted, please stand. At this time, would you bow your heads in prayer? Father, we thank you for the University of Pikeville and for the impact it has on this region. Tonight, we also thank you for those being honored for their contributions to the field of education. While learning is an instinct, it is one that must be nourished and cultivated, and these individuals have spent their careers doing just that. Lord, we ask that you watch over this institution, its students, faculty, and staff. May the needs of the institution be met, and we thank you for our donors and for our trustees. May all we do on this campus please you. Amen. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Burton Webb, the president of the university.
Thank you, Howard. Well, thank you all for coming. It's a great night. It's a night to celebrate educators. You know, educators have been in my life since the beginnings of my life because my mom and dad both taught school. My mom taught math and social studies, and my dad taught also social studies and English. So we had pretty much everything covered in our lifetime, and in our home there wasn't much that we weren't able to learn at home or any homework that we weren't able to get help with. But I remember one year in particular that was a really important and transitional year in my life. My parents decided that they wanted to move from a small home in the country to a small farm. My dad had an idea that he wanted to be a hobby farmer, and so we moved from one school district to another in the middle of my 4th grade year. And I remember that in my 4th grade class at the beginning of the year, I was in all accelerated classes, and I had great teachers and was really having a wonderful time in school. And when we transitioned to the new school district, we moved into an area where the good classes were full, and I was put into a classroom with a teacher who was near retirement and had absolutely no control of the classroom. On the first day, the girl next to me laid down on the floor and went to sleep in the middle of the class. And I'm not kidding, and absolutely nothing was said by the teacher. And I knew that it was a different world. For that entire semester, I floundered because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I came back to school the next fall and was really anticipating just another bad experience because I'd never had a bad teacher before, but I had one in this year and in this class. And the next year I met Mrs. Tolan. And Mrs. Tolan saved my life because Mrs. Tolan knew what it was to take someone who was articulate and bright and bored and challenge that child so that they could grow and learn and develop. And she literally took me from the kid in the back of the class who was causing all kinds of trouble to the kid who moved to the front of the class and continued in education all the way through a PhD. Years later, I ended up as a college professor, and I was teaching in the front of my classroom on Grandparents' Day, and a woman walked into the back. It was Mrs. Tolan. She was there because she said, "Your grandmother is too sick to be here, and I thought you needed representation." That's a teacher, and that's the kind of teacher that we look for in awarding this award this evening, and I believe these are the kind of teachers that we've found. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you for the way that you pour your lives into children who need them at moments that are critical. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Webb. In your program, you will find information about each of the individuals being inducted tonight. I will share some of those comments with you this evening, and then the recipients will come forward to share some remarks as well. First individual being honored this evening is Dr. Carol Grizzard Browning. Carol earned her doctorate in Old Testament and Christian ethics and her master's degrees in divinity from the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary and a bachelor's degree in English and religion from the University of Richmond. Illness forced Carol, who taught at UPike for 23 years, to retire in 2011. But her tenure here inspired students while she completed scholarly work and developed a large circle of close friends and colleagues. She was truly an inspiration to many. Carol is represented this evening by her husband, Dr. James Browning.
Some of you may have noticed that I'm not Carol. I wish with all my heart that Carol could be here because she would consider this one of the greatest honors that she has received because of her love of teaching. Unfortunately, Carol's neurological disorder no longer permits her to make public appearances, but I want to assure those of you who know her that her quick wit, her engaging personality, and her boundless compassion are not limited at all by her neurological disorder. And on behalf of her, I want to thank you for this honor. Carol loved teaching, and in thinking about how to summarize 23 years of teaching, three things came to mind. First of all, because Carol loved teaching, she was a scholar. And I found this out firsthand because my sabbatical project was to take all of Carol's unpublished materials. When she retired, I asked her permission to do this, and I took all of it off her computer at home and her computer here at work and then worked through the material. I discovered that for every class that Carol taught, she had at least 40 single-space pages of notes, in addition to which a syllabus that would contain 15 to 20 pages of detailed handouts in addition to the 3 or 4 textbooks that she required for her class. So she definitely was a scholar. Carol also loved students, and I particularly remember the fact that she would often take as her own personal project students that perhaps others might have seemingly given up on, and she would be determined that they would complete their studies here. And I think of, in particular, one young man that Carol noticed an increasing pattern of not coming to class, right? She was convinced that he would fritter away his academic career, so she did her own retention program, which is at 15 minutes before the hour of the class that she had with this individual, she would search for him. She would go all about Pikeville College until she found him, and then she would bring him to class, no matter what he was doing. He had no choice in the matter. And he graduated. And then finally, Carol took her classes seriously. She didn't want to miss any of them. So I can remember a time when Carol was undergoing chemotherapy, and the chemotherapy was making her dizzy and faint, and she didn't want to call her class off, so she got her lecture notes and went to class and laid down on the floor and lectured the entire 50 minutes. And I know this because the students came running to my office to tell me, do you know what Carol did? So I wanted her to be able to say a word, so I thought I would read to you a paragraph that comes from a sermon that she wrote on the book of Ruth entitled You Never Know. And it's her reflection about how the impact that all of us have on other people, students and others, we just don't know. I mean, the sheer force of our personality and our character and the things that we teach impact others. So I want to let Carol have the last word. So I wonder, what don't we know about our lives? What will we never know? What impulsive decisions and chance encounters, like the ones in the book of Ruth, may turn out to be the most important moments of our lives? Maybe the things that we think matter most about us, like our jobs, or our bank accounts, or our talents, or our preaching, will turn out not to matter next to something we think of as purely personal. We don't know what our legacies may be. Ruth's story shows us a different way of looking at life, both our lives and the lives of others. It should remind us to seek God's guidance in all things, and not just the ones we think are important. We may not be the best judges of what's important about our lives. And it should also remind us that, like Naomi, Ruth, and Boaz, there are no worthless, no account ordinary people, not even us. So on Carol's behalf, thank you.
Vivian Carter received her bachelor's degree in education from the University of Kentucky, a master's degree in education from Morehead State University, and a second master's degree in educational leadership from Eastern Kentucky University. Currently, she serves as the Appalachian Renaissance Initiative District Innovation Coordinator for Hazard Independent Schools. Prior to that position, she served as an elementary teacher and a middle school teacher and as a principal. Mrs. Carter is very engaged in her community, serving as a volunteer for several agencies, and is also involved in her church. She and her husband, Ralph, have 3 children. Please welcome Vivian Carter.
Well, I didn't realize that I was supposed to speak tonight, but as a good teacher, you have to just jump to it, get on the ball, and improvise, right? So here I am. So without any prepared speech or anything like that, I will say that I am honored and I'm humbled to be here. I was quite shocked and quite surprised because I've had the pleasure of doing something I've loved for many, many years. I also had the pleasure, I guess it was pleasure, of staying home for about 15 years, and I took a year's leave of absence in 1981 and ended up staying home for 15 years and having 2 more babies besides that first one. But I know that my calling, my heart, my passion was teaching. And so I went back to teaching, and boy, had it changed. We're sitting here with the educational governor, and I remember Kara, and I remember going back because I hadn't been on that initial platform thinking, oh my gosh, it's changed. I was teaching science. I mean, science hadn't changed in 15 years, right? Yeah. So I had to become a student also. And so I planned and I studied and I prepared. But the most important thing that I realized was that every child out there was a special child. And as a mother of a child that had ADHD, I also realized the importance that that teacher can make in the life of a student. And so every day I would look at those kids and I would think, I want them to be treated like I wanted my child. I know how important it is when they come home and they're happy and they're excited about learning and somebody says something nice to them. Isn't it funny that just those simple little words can make or break a child? And so with that, I dove into science, and I began the science teacher. And then I did another a little stint with Bridges Learning, where we were working with the developmental stages of children. All that put together, I finally decided to go back to school. My daughter had graduated. My mother had passed away. I know you're thinking, good grief, how old was she? Well, I was pretty old. But I decided to go back to school because to be a good teacher, you have to be a lifelong learner. So I got into leadership. I'd never had any intention whatsoever to be a principal, but I realized, but boy, can you make an impact when you are the principal, because not just one classroom or one grade level, you can influence the students in your whole building. So I was blessed to be a principal for 6 years, and then KVEC had the Race to the Top grant, and ARI came along, and I am loving being the innovation coordinator because I'm learning something new every single day. So when they tell you you can't teach an old dog new tricks, that is not true, because this old dog is learning something new every day. And by the way, I'm a bulldog too, so I am an old dog. But anyway, I want to thank you. I'm humbled. I'm so proud to be here, and I'm just I'm very grateful. Thank you very much.
Christina CRASE has been teaching secondary math education at Betsy Lane High School since 2004. Her innovative approach to learning was recognized by the Gates Foundation. Melinda Gates wrote in her blog, "Like all of the most successful schools we visited, Betsy Lane's teachers and administrators use a combination of compassion and sky-high expectations to drive its young people to succeed." Looking for ways to enhance her classroom, CRASE received grants from KVEC to develop a project-based unit and to flip her classroom to maximize student achievement and increase interest and engagement by students. She received her bachelor's degree in secondary education from Pikeville College, master's degree in administration from Morehead State University, and is currently pursuing a second master's degree in mathematics from Western Kentucky University. She is also active in her church. Please congratulate Christina CRASE.
Thank you all. Such an honor to be here tonight, an honor to sit up here with these great people behind me. Some I know, some I don't know, but what I do know is that they are passionate about their love for education, as well as I am. Like you've already heard tonight, we love our job. I think, honestly, teaching is the best job there is. To be able to go to school every single day and have an impact on these students' lives is amazing. And what some people don't realize is even though we are impacting their lives, they change our lives every day. And so I'm truly honored to be here. I'm thankful that God chose this path for me, and I can't wait to see what comes in the future. So thank you, UPike, for this award, and keep doing the great things in this region. Thank you.
Leslie Cunningham retired after 37 years of teaching at Pikeville Elementary School, but she soon returned to the classroom to help kindergarten, first and second graders with mathematics. She is involved in an after-school tutoring program at the Pikeville United Methodist Church. While teaching, she encouraged students to use critical thinking skills to problem solve while she incorporated technology into the classroom. She successfully instilled life skills of appropriate behavior in and out of the classroom and manners and personal responsibility. Cunningham received her undergraduate degree from Pikeville College and her master's degree from Morehead State University. She is an active member of many educational associations and the Pikeville United Methodist Church. She and her husband Bobby have one son and one grandson. Congratulations, Leslie Cunningham.
I guess first I need to thank you, Pike, for this honor. Educators are not used to being recognized, and the many of you out there that teach know that. So this makes it special for you to do that for us. I guess I also have to thank you, Pike, for helping me get my job at Pikeville Elementary. As soon as I graduated from Pikeville College, they became part of a program called Teacher Corps. And the concept in Teacher Corps was that they would take education majors that were seniors, and they had to work in a classroom for 2 years under the leadership of current teachers. The Pikeville Elementary, on their end, had to provide mentors for each one of these groups. So I had just graduated. I began working, and then each grade level had to provide one teacher. And so I had just begun teaching. Gary Justice was another teacher that I taught with. He also had begun teaching. So there were 6 interns, 2 recent graduates. None of us knew what we were doing. And we were expected to teach over 100 sixth graders. Thank goodness we had 2 veteran teachers that taught us everything they knew. Catherine Ratliff, who was a regular classroom teacher, and Elsie Bertzel became our team leader. And in those 2 years, we all worked together as a team. Many of those interns in every grade went on to be successful teachers throughout the region, and we were very grateful to have taken part in that. I was also fortunate to have Chester Bailey as my principal for the majority of my career, and many of you out there remember Mr. Bailey too. He taught us what it was like to work as a team. He believed in communication and consensus. So his mentorship just continues daily too. I guess my career is unique because I never aspired to be an administrator. That just takes a different person than what I was. I wanted to stay in the classroom. I taught in the same classroom, the same grade level, the same school, and the same school system my entire career for 37 plus years. And that doesn't happen very often in education, as all these ladies know up here too. I have loved every minute of teaching, and as was said before, you become a lifelong learner, and I still look at things and look at how I could use them in the classroom even though I'm not there. So I want to thank my family who did come here tonight, my mom for providing me with a role model for what a successful, strong female can do, and my husband and son for putting up with the long hours that I spent at the kitchen table with making lesson plans and grading papers. So thank you, Governor Patton, for starting this program, and thank you, Pike, for continuing it. Thank you.
Nikki Gearhart is in her 18th year in the Floyd County school system, teaching 4th and 5th grade math and social studies. She is known as a role model for her colleagues and has great rapport with students, staff, and parents. She is considered to be an excellent teacher, says a colleague. Gearhart earned her bachelor's degree in elementary education from Morehead State University, a master's degree from the University of the Cumberlands, and she is currently pursuing an additional degree in leadership from the University of the Cumberlands. She has a passion to teach, an ability to motivate students, and to encourage them to work hard. She resides in Floyd County with her husband and 2 children. Please congratulate Nikki Gearhart.
Good evening. It is an honor to be here tonight. I would like to thank my family and my colleagues for sharing this experience with me. And I plan to take this award back to my classroom and share with my students because they are the reason that I am here tonight. They make me look good on a daily basis, and I can't wait to show them tomorrow. Thank you.
Currently teaching first grade at Bevins Elementary School, Christine Higgins has the distinction of being in the classroom as a teacher for 52 years. She is in a special way, she has touched the lives of many children and motivated them, says her principal, Amy Sweeney. Throughout 5 decades of teaching, Higgins has impacted the lives of countless students. She is involved in various education associations and with the Bevins Parent-Teacher Association, and she was previously honored in Pike County with the best of the best elementary school teachers. Christine Higgins.
Thank you. I'm honored to have this honor bestowed upon me, and I almost turned it down because I didn't want people to know how many years I taught. They would ask me, how many years have you taught? And I'd say 13. However, when I was in the hospital almost 2 years ago having surgery, my husband let it out. So then I had my answer to how long are you going to teach? And so I say, till they put me in that little pine box or the schoolhouse burns down. So thank you.
Susan Huffman is known to generously give of her time to support Pikeville High School and the community of Pikeville. Prior to her teaching career, Susan worked at Pikeville College from 1981 to 1989 in the Public Relations Office and in the Office of Alumni Affairs. She has taught Pikeville High School for 25 years, teaching English, fine arts, journalism, and sponsoring the yearbook. She has also taught for 25 years in the Upward Bound program each summer at the University of Pikeville. She earned her bachelor's degree in English from Pikeville College and a master's degree in English from Morehead State University. Susan is the mother of 3 sons and is a wonderful representative of Pikeville High School. Susan Huffman.
Wow, what an honor. When Ferry called me this summer, I had to pull over. I was driving. Caught me totally off guard. But I want to thank you, Howard, for this introduction. I want to thank the committee for selecting me to be a part of this prestigious group. Thank you, Brenda. What an honor it is to be on stage with these individuals. I believe the good Lord blesses us with special gifts. And I know I am where I am today because of Him. As Howard said, the past 25 years at Pikeville High School and as many years teaching in the Upward Bound summer program at UPike have introduced me to some wonderful, wonderful children, their parents, their grandparents. What I found was they quickly became another family. Something I wasn't really taught in an education class in college, but something I quickly learned in the classroom was how important it is to connect with your students, to develop a relationship with your students. When they know you care, exciting things happen. I want to thank my family for being here. My parents delayed a trip to be here with me. And I have a host of friends out there, some former students. I am blessed. Thank you for sharing tonight with me.
Retha Hunt is in her 27th year of teaching in the Pike County school system. She holds a bachelor's degree in secondary education and mathematics from Pikeville College, a master's degree in secondary education and mathematics from Morehead State University, and a rank 1. She was selected to meet with senior team members from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation on 2 occasions and was the only Pike County classroom teacher selected to meet with the Gates to discuss education in Eastern Kentucky when they visited Pikeville in 2015. Hunt has a long list of honors and awards and an extensive career in education in Pike County. Her husband John and daughter Chelsea are also her world. Please congratulate Retha Hunt.
Don't search for the light at the end of the tunnel. Be the light at the end of the tunnel. These words sum up what teaching truly is: light, hope, and strength for the children entrusted to us each school year. Yes, knowledge is important because knowledge is power. And we do have a responsibility to impart our knowledge of algebra, history, science, and English to the next generation. However, this may be one of the least important roles that a teacher fulfills. When I was a bright-eyed 22-year-old beginning teacher, I thought I knew what my job was. I thought I understood what I'd gotten myself into. I believed I knew what a teacher would involve. My job was to teach students how to do geometry, algebra, and calculus. My job was to ensure that they understood how to behave in a classroom and how to get along with their peers while in that classroom. I needed to teach them to take good notes and to show their work on long math problems. I needed to encourage them to prepare for their futures and dream big. And I did all of those things daily. Now, however, as a recently retired 27-year teaching veteran, I can tell you that my job included so much more than those tasks. It included many, many things that no one ever told me about. No one ever told me that I would love all of those children the same as if they were my birth children, and that I would miss them fiercely each year when they graduated. That I would worry over them when they left me each day, and that I would pray for their safety and happiness. That I would wonder if they had enough to eat, a warm place to stay, and someone to look after them. No one told me that I would hold these children as they cried over issues as varied as a relationship breakup, bullying, drug abuse, fears like those that came after 9/11, the death of a parent, and that my heart would break right along with theirs because I couldn't fix what was wrong. No one told me that I would listen as they came out to me because they were too scared to come out to a parent, and that my acceptance of them might literally be the difference between life and death for those teens. No one told me I would be responsible for giving advice on a million different topics to attempt to ease the burdens that my students carried, and that sometimes all I could do was offer a hug because no words were going to make a difference to that situation. No one told me that I would lie awake at night worrying over a child that I knew was having problems at home or school, and that I would wish with all my heart to be able to fix that child's situation and sometimes be helpless to do anything at all. No one told me that I would do whatever it took to help every child succeed, even download and listen to a hardcore rap group called Insane Clown Posse because it was the only interest of one young man that I was very determined to get through to. It almost made my ears bleed, but you know what? I had something to connect to that student with, and he finally did open up to me. Today, that young man is a successful Marine with a wife and a baby and a good life. Of all my students, he stands out as my greatest success story. No one told me that every single action I took for 27 years would be scrutinized, because now I was a role model to countless people, and that I would constantly have to use that as a measure for every choice that I made in my life. No one told me that every word I said had the power to lift a student up or to destroy their self-esteem, and that someone was always listening. No one told me that my very presence and words would become a lifeline to many hurting students, and that the weight of that responsibility would weigh so very heavy on my shoulders. No one told me that every decision that I made carried weight and responsibility and the potential to cause either harm or to help someone. No one told me that I would cry every year at graduation as I felt the pride of a job well done and the pain of losing students that I love deeply. No one told me that I would be entrusted with more secrets than the NSA, more information than the Library of Congress, most of which I didn't want to know, and more drama than the Jerry Springer Show. No one told me that teaching had a mandatory tithing system whereby a sizable portion of your take-home pay is spent either buying school supplies for your classroom or merchandise from every single sports team and club at your school. No one told me that I was going to spend the rest of my life as a contestant on the reality game show called Hey, do you remember me? And its companion series, Hey, how's my son and daughter doing in your class? With no mention of said person's name. No one told me that parents would chase me down in stores, restaurants, and other public places to ask me why this child, named or unnamed, had a particular grade in my class and what could they do for extra credit to bring that up. No one told me that sometimes I would even be followed into public restrooms by a parent who would take up residence in an adjacent stall just to talk to me through the wall about school issues and their child's grades. No one told me that I would never, ever again be able to run a quick errand, because over time, I came to know literally every person in this region, and they all want to talk to me. No one told me that I was going to need the surveillance skills of the Secret Service if I decided I wanted a margarita with my meal at Applebee's, but was scared that a teenage student would see me drinking it. No one told me that, over time, every doctor's office, restaurant, pharmacy, and other business in our area would become staffed with my former students, which leads to internal monologues of things like, oh no, that's so-and-so. Oh God, did they like me? Did they pass my class? Am I okay to do business here? Is this food safe to eat? No one told me that there would never again be such a thing as privacy for me, because each cashier in every store in our region is either a current or former student or one of their family members, and every single item you purchase goes through their hands, and they make eye contact with you over it. And no one ever told me that trying to describe teaching and its many responsibilities would be an impossible task. So as you can see, teaching has many aspects that no one knows about, except those of us who've lived through them. Well, there is one group besides teachers who know all about the hazards of a teacher's life, and that is a teacher's family. They make daily sacrifices so that we can continue to teach. So I'd like to say a special, heartfelt thank you to my husband, John, my kids, Chelsea and Jeremy, and to every friend, colleague, and family member present today or listening at home. Thank you all for your love and support throughout my teaching career. Thank you for listening to me talk, gripe, complain, and celebrate the wildly emotional job of teaching. Thank you for sacrificing your time with me so that my students could have that time instead. Thank you for always having my back and for standing by my side all these years. I love you all more than words can say, and I'm so thankful for each of you. I could not have earned this award without your support. In conclusion, I would like to say thank you to the University of Pikeville for this amazing honor. I am humbled and so thankful for this recognition. I truly loved being a teacher, and I always felt that I was doing exactly what God wanted me to do. I gave everything I had to my students, my school, and my district every day that I taught. It was an honor and a blessing to teach at Belfry High School with the best teachers in the state of Kentucky. Finally, I would like to dedicate this award to my precious mom, Retha Runyon, who passed away in July of this year. Throughout my childhood, it was her voice telling me over and over to achieve my goals and live my dreams. She was determined that I would have a college degree and that I would be able to take care of myself no matter what. By a very fortunate twist of fate, I graduated from Pikeville College on Mother's Day in 1989. She always said it was the greatest gift that I ever gave to her. Everything I achieved as a teacher was a direct result of her love, encouragement, and unwavering support throughout my life. She would have been so very proud of this award. I love you, Mommy. This one's for you. Thank you all. Thank you, Pike. And may God bless each one of you and this university. Thank you.
Retha, we should have put you last, because that's a hard act to follow. I don't know if I can finish now. It was humorous. Tammy Mills has taught for 25 years in Pike County school system as a mathematics teacher. She earned her bachelor's degree in secondary education mathematics from Pikeville College, a master's degree in education from Moorhead, and her rank 1 from Union College. Outside the classroom, she has been involved in a leadership summit and in the Pike Central leadership team. She served as a sponsor of the senior class and a co-sponsor for the National Honor Society. Throughout her career, she has also served as a gifted and talented coordinator and a co-sponsor for the Future Educators Association. Her awards and honors are many, and she has been named to Who's Who among America's teachers and has been inducted in the Pike County School System Hall of Fame. She and her husband have 2 children. Congratulations to Tammy Mills.
Hi, I just want to tell everybody thank you. I look out here and I see friends, colleagues. I see one of my student teachers here getting to share this stage with me, and that's kind of pretty special because as a teacher, I think we spend a lot of time trying to teach our students, but one of the things that was so helpful to me was when I did have student teachers and they brought so much of that young and that innovation to the classroom and helped us with that. As a young student at Moorhead, I was asked to help tutor in the 091-093 mathematics classes. Those were some of the remedial classes, and I think that was when I had decided that I wanted to be a teacher, helping those kids and tutoring in that environment. And took a little bit of time off and finished up here at UPike. Last 25 years, been pretty fun up on the hill. I'm proud to be teaching and to have been a teacher here in Eastern Kentucky, and I just want to say thank you.
The life of Nell Ruth Spears is one of great inspiration. As the mother of 5 children, she stayed at home with her family for 20 years. And she worked 7 years as a teacher's aide and received inspiration to return to school at nights and on weekends to become a teacher, culminating in earning her bachelor's degree from Pikeville College. At the age of 44, she started her teaching career in the Pike County School System and taught 21 years at G.F. Johnson Elementary School. While teaching, she also earned her master's degree and a rank 1 from Moorhead State University. Although she retired, she quickly returned to work as an ESS tutor and substitute teacher and taught for 10 more years in the Pike County system. She specialized in helping young children raise their reading comprehension skills. She also found time to devote to volunteer work. She was a fundraiser for the American Cancer Society for several years, helping to secure tens of thousands of dollars to fund cancer research. She also devoted much time as a volunteer fundraiser at UPike and was typically one of the top callers in the annual phone-a-thon. She is a woman of strong faith and has been a member of the Church of Christ for 65 years. She and her late husband, Bobby, had 5 children who all attended Pikeville College. She has 6 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Congratulations to Nell Ruth Spears.
Well, they say the last is always the best. And I love talking to children, but I can't stand talking to adults. I just can't stand it. And I didn't know I was supposed to do this because I spent the first biggest part of my life having babies. I was young when I was 17. I didn't know any better. I thought everybody was supposed to have a lot of children. But anyway, when my first child came along, I said that I would teach him about the Lord, that my son, my children would know, and if they were not Christians, it would not be my fault. I spent that time, and this time until now, some of them get out of line, and I still teach. But I loved every child I ever taught. They were wonderful. They were beautiful.
Their parents adored me. They helped me. I was just like a crazy person, you know. I got out of having babies and went into teaching children. So I had a real good, I just loved every minute of it. And I want you all to remember that I, for one, feel that even if you say, well, today we are going to talk about the good things, you can bring the Lord into your teaching without breaking the law. Just don't ever forget him. He's the wonderful person that will take care of all of us. Thank you so much.
Listening to the remarks from these recipients tonight is certainly an inspiration. Let's give another round of applause to this year's Hall of Fame inductees. We'd like for you to stay around for a reception out in the foyer. And also this evening is the lighting of the campus by the Student Government Association. So if you'd like to stay for a little while and see the 99 steps lighted, it's a beautiful experience. Also, we're celebrating the founding of the institution, and that's a very important time for us to reflect and remember what was the vision of Presbyterians in the early 1800s when they came to this, early 1890s, when they came to this region to look for a location to create a church and a school. And in 1889, the University of Pikeville was founded as Pikeville Collegiate Institute. Those founders could never envision what this university would be, what this school would be. But we've grown and flourished and provided great service to this region, and we thank you for your interest and support in the University of Pikeville. Also, please join us tomorrow here in Booth Auditorium at 3 o'clock for the inauguration of Dr. Webb as the president of the University of Pikeville. Tomorrow evening there will be a concert in this auditorium as well from Dr. Webb and his wife, Dr. Kay Webb's daughter, who has a lovely singing voice, so please come back. And Saturday we will have homecoming activities at the football field, so please join us for all of these important events in the life of the University of Pikeville. Our closing remarks will be offered this evening by Terry Dodson. Thank you.
I always get to talk last, and they always use most of my lines. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I appreciate you all being here this evening. You're in the jewel of Eastern Kentucky today, the single most important thing to this region. As you look next door, we continue to grow and offer things that this institution and those founders that I think set up there at these kind of events, and other people that were here before, and I think they're here, and I think they know. I think they're amazed sometimes by the challenges that we've met. These educators, if we would finally be able to fill Commonwealth Stadium, where that other little university is down in the central part of the state, with just the people's lives that one of these people have touched in their teaching career. Teachers make a difference. In my Bible, the disciples talked about our Lord, and they called him Master, and they called him Teacher. And to be a teacher is an honored profession, and one that we need to be proud of, and that this university has furnished for this region for a long, long time. I'm reminded of a little story that I like to tell from a book called Even Eagles Need a Push. I usually send it to graduates that send me an invitation, and I always put a $100 check in the inside, and then I wonder if they read the book, because sometimes the checks never get cashed. but it's called Even Eagles Need a Push Sometimes, and it tells an interesting story about a mother at her kitchen table one morning, and she yells out, "Johnny, get up, it's time to go to school." And there's no answer. And she yells a little louder, "Johnny, get up, it's time to go to school." Finally, she walks to the top of the steps and opens the bedroom door, and Johnny's laying there in the bed with the cover over his head, and she says, "Johnny, get up, it's time to go to school." He said, "I'm not going back to that school. Every student there hates me." And he said, "Johnny, that's ridiculous, get up, you gotta go to school." He said, "I'm not going back to that school. Every teacher there hates me." He said, "Johnny, get up, you gotta go to school." He said, Mother, give me one good reason." She said, "I'll give you two. You're 47 years old and you're the principal." Teaching has its challenges. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for your involvement in this university. With the committee that does all this work, please stand just a moment so we can recognize you, and thank you for the work that you do. We got more than that out here. Okay. Let us know about other educators. We can only honor those that we know about and we take time to learn and honor. And thank you for being here. God bless you and be safe going home. Thank you.